At it again, and here we go again. Bro, you know they're getting desperate. We got to talk about Justice Samuel Alito and something that happened at his home that leftist media is absolutely losing their minds over. But, it's not shocking when, you see that Trump is beating the candidate that you have attempted to prop up at every turn that is ever possible, right? You've tried to spin anything and everything negative into something positive, and anything even remotely negative about Trump, you've attempted to amplify it into the worst thing ever, and none of it is working. So I expect leftist media to latch on to things like this and to panic over it. But I guess we'll get a laugh from it. Like, share, comment, and hit that subscribe button if you are new. And let's dive in.
No, Willie, blaming the wife thing for people in public eye in trouble, that's going around.
Don't ever do that.
You know, I'm scared of you. I would never do that. But, Willie, this circles back to these people, and I will say these people, these Trumpers, who have spent their entire life attacking people for being insufficiently patriotic. And then they lose, and they just hate America. They hate America. They're constantly going around saying how weak we are. They hate our military. They say how weak our military is when it's the strongest in the world. They hate our economy. They claim the president of the United States is a socialist. The Dow yesterday made all of these people a lot richer, breaking 40,000 for the first time, despite Donald Trump's lies that it would collapse if Joe Biden was president of the United States. They hate this country. They attack this country. The only time they love it is when their person is in office. And I just got to say, and we've got a lot of legal, brilliant minds around this table. Yeah. So they can speak to this later if they want to. I will tell you, growing up, one of my friends' fathers was a federal judge. I had no idea until I got older whether he was Republican or Democrat. And that was the case in Northwest Florida, a very conservative place. The federal judges kept themselves beyond reproach. They never talked politics, ever, in the privacy of their homes. If you ask them opinion, they would just say, not my job, right? I'm a judge. They actually took their oath seriously. And for a Supreme Court justice, and I will say my opinion only, but the guy most likely to have had something to do with the leaking of the Dobbs decision. Yeah. Leaking it to the Wall Street Journal, or somebody connected to him leaking it to the Wall Street Journal because he wanted to keep Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett frozen in place. I think history will show that. But that aside, for a guy who is a Supreme Court justice that let that happen at his own home in one of the most fraught times in American history since the Civil War, it's just sad. And it shows how little respect he has for the institution. It shows how little respect he has for the law. It really does. It's disgusting.
Now listen, guys. He went on that rant all because Samuel Alito had an American flag flying outside of his house upside down, which they say that's a sign of like distress or something like that. But that is why he just went on that 2-minute rant. But he said nothing about Judge Merchan, right? In the Hush Money trial, the guy that, donated to Biden's campaign and the daughter that's allegedly fundraising off of the trial. Nothing. Not a peep. But you let a judge have an American flag flying outside of his house on a pole upside down, and it's just like the end. And judges, don't talk about politics, but he says nothing about Judge Merchant, the hush money trial judge. I mean, it's just hilarious.
New reporting in the New York Times that I find absolutely staggering. That for days in and around January 17th, 2021, neighbors told the New York Times that Justice Samuel Alito, one of the 9 justices on the Supreme Court, had an American flag hanging upside down outside of his house. That inverted flag was being used as a symbol of the Stop the Steal movement. This is a justice who is very engaged, continues to be, in and around issues concerning Trump's role in the January 6th insurrection. Apparently had a Stop the Steal flag flying outside of his house. He says in a denial, I had no involvement whatsoever in the flying of the flag. It was briefly placed by Mrs. Alito, Martha Ann Alito, in response to a neighbor's use of objectionable and personally insulting language on our yard signs. This is nothing but a neighborhood snafu, a little battle between neighbors. Rachel, do you have thoughts on that news coming against the backdrop of today?
It's unsettling. It's gross. First of all, everybody has different marriage rules, but it's my wife's fault is probably never within the marriage rules when you are talking to the New York Times about something that you've done that has brought enough scandal upon you and the institution you represent that it's on the front page of the New York Times. It was my wife. I just don't, even if it was, I don't know. I don't want to give you any advice. But I feel like, the upside down flag, it wasn't like he had a Trump 2024, Trump 2028 flag up there. It was the American flag upside down, which is a traditional symbol of distress. Unless Mrs. Alito, I guess, was signaling her distress and calling for help. The explanation makes no sense. That was something that people were doing around that time to indicate that the country was effectively under siege in some way, which is what Trump supporters were making the case for when they were describing the election as having been stolen when it wasn't. Justice Alito has become increasingly unembarrassed about displaying himself as a partisan, as a consumer of partisan narratives and media, and in ruling in ways that is just kind of out loud, all caps disdainful toward a majority of the country in some cases, or certainly against people who disagree with him. And this fits with that, but it's also something that I've never heard anything like this in the entire history of every controversy I've ever known about with the United States Supreme Court. I think Chief Justice Roberts has a problem on his hands in terms of the behavior of some of the more aggressive justices and those who are really flouting ethics concerns and equanimity concerns.
Oh, now we want to talk about ethics concerns. Where was that concern with Judge Merchant? Where was that concern? Where are the ethics concerns as it pertains to the hush money trial judge? Nobody says anything in leftist media, but you let a judge fly an American flag outside of their home upside down, and oh my goodness, it's the end of the world. These people are so disingenuous. It's honestly astonishing. But, like I said before, it's not a surprise when they do stuff like this because they're losing. They're trying to grasp onto anything and everything that they possibly can in order to bolster themselves and Joe Biden back up, right? But it's not working. They've continually attacked the Republican justices, continually attacked them. Clarence Thomas, for example, they continually attack this man. Of course, it doesn't want to play now. Goodness gracious. Here we go.
Well, and the Supreme Court. And he mentioned the Supreme Court and was very specific about that. And he did telegraph
as if he can just take the election, call it over,
right?
Announce that there won't be any more voting and that the Supreme Court will take over. That's not how it works.
It's not exactly clear that we can trust Amy Coney Barrett and Kavanaugh and these others not to be just like Bill Barr. And so I think what scares people is that if he decides to do something that it legally makes no sense, and you're right, but Mr. Bauer is ready for him. But if somehow they manage to stumble into the Supreme Court, Do any of you guys trust Uncle Clarence and Amy Coney Barrett and those guys to actually follow the letter of the law? No. I mean, it is a completely politicized Supreme Court that you can't just trust that they're going to do the right thing. Now, so far, the courts have actually been pretty good. So we'll see.
Now, I don't know if y'all caught it, but she called Clarence Uncle Clarence. I don't know if that was like a reference to like Uncle Tom or not, but hey, whatever. Maybe I'm reading a little bit between the lines a little too much, but I wouldn't be shocked if that was, right? But I do want to play this last clip from Clarence Thomas. And this was his response to, all of leftist media and all of the left, right, telling him that he needs to pack up and go home.
One of the things I'd say in response to the media is when they talk about, or especially early on, about the way I did my job, I said, I will absolutely leave the court when I do my job as poorly as you do yours. And that was meant as a compliment, really.
I think we've neglected this side of the room. As well.
Oh, gosh.
All the way over here, yes.
It really is good to be me. It really is.
Big shout out to Clarence Thomas. We love you, brother. We got your back. We love you, brother. But yeah, like I was saying, it's not shocking to watch them absolutely panic over something small like that. And really, in reality, I shouldn't even say they're panicking, but they're acting, right? That's probably a better way to phrase that, in my humble opinion. The acting, right, is absolutely astonishing. Oh my goodness, it's the end of the world. The ethics of this all, are put into question. But how many times have you seen Joy Reid or any of these folks on MSNBC that I just played for you say anything about Judge Merchan and that whole situation, right? The conflicts of interest there, the ethics of it all, right? Never heard it. But if judge flies a flag outside of his house upside down, it's all of a sudden the end. Anyway, y'all let me know what you thought about this one in the comment section below. Like, share, comment, hit that subscribe button before you go. Peace and love. I'm out.